By late 2022, the DC cinematic universe was a disjointed collection of conflicting continuities and overlapping character versions. It lacked a central narrative thread, which caused the franchise to trail behind its competitors in both box office and critical reception. Attempting to resolve a decade of mixed messaging through a hard reboot is a significant financial risk. Erasing established continuity can alienate existing fans, while failing to provide a clear entry point makes it difficult to attract new audiences. To manage this transition, the studio appointed filmmaker James Gunn and producer Peter Safran as the heads of the newly formed DC Studios. Their objective was to engineer a cohesive, long-term narrative plan for the entire property. Gunn and Safran announced a 10-year plan called Chapter 1: Gods and Monsters. Their strategy prioritized a classical, vibrant aesthetic over the darker style that had defined the previous decade of production. To stabilize the property, the studio returned to its earliest creation, utilizing Superman as the anchor for the new cinematic timeline. In 1938, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster designed a character to meet a specific cultural need. While the character possessed incredible physical power, his identity was built on a sense of hope and compassion. This diagram shows the 1985 timeline collapse. By this point, decades of contradictory storylines across multiple alternate Earths had fragmented the company's history, requiring a total consolidation to keep the brand viable. This visualization shows the narrative trajectory in 1992. When DC published The Death of Superman, the temporary removal of the character caused a significant spike in sales and cultural interest, proving his value through his absence. The same structural strategy returned in 2024 with the launch of the Absolute Universe. This initiative used a new version of Superman to ground a parallel line of stories, providing a familiar entry point for a separate publishing experiment. DC survives complicated editorial eras by returning to this emotional core, using the character as a reset button whenever the brand becomes unmoored. For the 2025 film, James Gunn utilized this history to build a new cinematic blueprint. He looked to iconic comic runs, such as All-Star Superman, which highlighted the character's empathy rather than just his physical capabilities. The production bypassed the traditional origin story and removed the moral ambiguity that characterized recent versions. Instead, it placed a fully formed, optimistic hero into a cynical modern world. Peter Safran established a mandate that, in this iteration, the character's kindness would be his defining attribute. The script framed this earnestness as an active choice, rather than a lack of awareness. David Corenswet was cast to embody this aesthetic, playing a version of Clark Kent that leaned into a classical, sincere portrayal of the character. The 2025 film established a deliberate break from the previous decade, replacing a brooding aesthetic with a narrative centered on sincerity. This chart shows the box office trajectory for the 2025 film. After earning $125 million in its domestic opening weekend, it reached a worldwide total of $618.7 million against a $225 million production budget. Securing this financial core allowed DC Studios to adopt a hub-and-spoke model, where a single successful flagship title provides the capital to fund more experimental projects. This stability enabled the production of unconventional titles that might otherwise be deemed too risky, including Creature Commandos, Lanterns, and Clayface. When the 2026 release of Supergirl earned only $66 million domestically, the franchise remained stable. The success of the core film provided enough momentum to absorb the loss of an underperforming project without requiring another reboot. Superman occupies a unique position in the DC universe. He functions as the structural foundation that holds the entire continuity together.